Hello and welcome to Super Switches, the premier Nintendo podcast on all of the internet. My name is Patrick Nisley.
My name is Matthew Stoner.
My name is David Howe, and boy, oh boy, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest returning to the show for today's episode. We got the one and only Carrie Chandler. Carusetta is on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. Good to have you, Carrie.
Yes, Carrie, you are here, and we are talking this week about cloud gaming in light of Google Stadia, the announcement that it will be shutting down early next year.
Rest in power.
We thought we'd check in about the state of cloud gaming, the attitudes around it, and just kind of an overview of what it's like and that sort of thing. We got a lot of interesting things in the news. There's some other things that are shutting down, like Overwatch and
Already.
The Disco Elysium devs have like a thing that's shutting down because they're no longer part of their own company anymore.
Oh.
And then, you know, there are a bunch of releases recently, but one that costs way too much is the Skyrim Anniversary Edition. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about some Pokemon stuff, bunch of stuff. We'll go over it soon. But before we get into anything else, what's going on? How are we feeling? How's everybody's week?
Pretty good over here.
Pretty good. I got my second booster this weekend.
Oh,
yeah,
I got the 5G and the 10G now. So.
You're 10G? That's wild.
10G, yeah. That's great.
Man, I
Living in
don't
Japan.
even know what the internet speed is on 10G, man. That sounds great. Yeah, I haven't gotten that booster yet. I need to get around to that.
It's pretty new, right?
It's immune compromised only, I think, now, but I mean, which I am.
Oh, okay.
But you can probably get it anyway because I don't think that many people are running out to get it. So
yeah. Better than it was like at the start of all the vaccines. I remember I had to drive out to the middle of like buttfuck Texas.
Just like trying to get a PS5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Skip the line or whatever, where they're just throwing them out anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah, I'm doing okay. It was very busy work week last week. We had clients in town, so there was a lot of like happy hours and field trips and stuff that we don't usually do at work. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So it was like pretty exhausting week. So just kind of relaxed over the weekend, and it's pretty nice. Took some nice walks.
Zelda Powerhouse Animation confirmed.
Yeah, that's right. Link came to visit at the office, and I had to show him around, get him drunk.
What a breath of fresh air.
We were in tears after 5 shots.
Yeah. I love it. I spent a lot of time this weekend watching comedy. It's Austin Sketch Fest. So I saw a bunch of great sketch comedy here in Austin. Saw Mo Collins, formerly a player on Mad TV, and she played a bunch of characters that was just so fun.
Well, that's
cool.
awesome.
I felt really inspired after watching tons of sketch comedy. It's just like so many fucking funny people. So good.
Nice.
What about you, Patrick?
Yeah, it's been fine. I've been just pretty much addicted to Splatoon. It might be a problem, honestly.
How many hours you at? Bring it up.
70 something, but
that's what I got, and I'm not addicted. I'm fine. I have no problems. I'm totally fine.
I love it, but yeah, otherwise things are pretty good. I don't have a whole lot to report on. Hopefully soon I will have some things to share here, but not right now.
Very good.
So last week's episode was about Nintendo Switch Online, but all of our shout outs are about other topics that we talked about on that episode. Ty Typos said we deserve a commission or something from Nintendo for getting them into Splatoon. So yeah, we do.
Yeah, we should be paid by Nintendo to do the show. Yeah. Absolutely.
I agree. Yes.
Wait, we're not getting paid by Nintendo?
Hey.
All right, okay.
And then over on Facebook, Vincent Goodwin mentioned in reference to our talking about Ted Lasso being in FIFA, and us talking about a fictional team appearing in a real sports league game. Apparently, the GameCube version of NBA Street V3 had Mario, Luigi, and Peach. So you could play with them and team them up with Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili. I had to look this up when they said this because I was like, "Is that real?" And it's real.
That's cool.
It looks like a Photoshop. It looks like a bad Photoshop.
It
Wow.
does.
Well, not a bad one, but
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, it's like New Donk City before New Donk City.
Yeah.
And then over on Instagram, Sprowlix2 said, "Boy, oh boy, I miss David from the future."
Well, David from the future is super busy fighting in the great Guzzling Wars of 2047. So he's going to be a little indisposed until he rids the world of mutants. So he'll come back when we need him most.
When we need him most, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we love hearing from our listeners, viewers. If you too want to be mentioned on the show, do send us a note. Also, we appreciate any sharing of the podcast online in places like Reddit, or leaving us a review somewhere, or hop over on YouTube, watch us there, the video version, and like and subscribe on there. And we got lots of news to talk about. So first up, Splatoon continues to get patches and that sort of thing as they try to fix the communication errors. And I don't know, maybe it feels better. I've been playing a lot, so I'm in a fog. But I think there's fewer. They're fixing as best they can, I guess.
I feel like it maybe feels a little better. But but I also feel like anytime they do a patch, they'll be like, we're also trying to fix communication bugs. They're
going to say that.
They're just going to say that every time. Yeah.
That would be nice. I haven't played in about a week, but that was my only complaint really was that like I had just one thing where it just like I gave up after 15 minutes of disconnects trying to get connected to a game.
I think it's definitely better than it was at launch. Like I think that feels true to me, but I don't know.
That's good.
Still, the smoothest experience I've had was during the demo, though, for some reason.
I had some bad things during the demo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But anyway, I was like stuck in waiting in rooms for like 900, like it would just go up and up. Anyway, no point in talking about that.
You just didn't know how to press A.
Oh, you had to press A?
Which one's that?
Oh, I'm ready. Also, there's some exploits people have found, which I think this was discovered and shared after the most recent patch, but I'm sure it'll be patched out, or maybe it already has been. But apparently you can splat people from below, not on solid surfaces in Splatoon 3. So beware.
There's some walls you can shoot through. Right?
In walls too, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure as these things get shared, they will be fixed. But be careful. I think it's the sloshing machine in particular, which I think there was some discussion about in the Facebook group. People saying that's, or maybe it's the Discord saying that's OP, and that might be why.
Yeah,
people are using it for the exploits.
I think during the Splatfest, it was like the most used weapon in Japan or something like that. But yeah, Nintendo, I think, even put out a little thing being like, don't do this because if you're using exploits, we might ban you, basically. So even though it's in the game and they need to fix it, just don't be a dick, basically.
And then we may all remember, I guess it was earlier this year, I don't remember exactly when, Kotaku had a big article about Nintendo of America, and what sparked a bunch of it was somebody who filed a labor complaint, who was like a contractor at Nintendo, who had made some question about unionization and then alleged that they got fired because of that. So that person has come forward and stated their name and given a lot more details to Axios. And there's a big article about it if you're at all interested in digging into the details about why they were told they were fired as opposed to what they believe they were fired for, and so on and so forth. So a lot of the little things we just had to speculate about, they're spilling the tea. So if you're interested, go check that out. I don't know if anybody here has any feelings about this. Apparently they were working on Smash Ultimate as QA. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole union thing with the QA thing is just it's sad to see it with Nintendo, but we're seeing it with every company. It seems like it's just an industry problem.
Yes,
totally. Yeah, Nintendo is not unique amongst the game studios for some of the worst practices. They're definitely part of the problem as well.
Yeah.
And then The Did You Know Gaming is a YouTube channel, right? And they did a big video just the other day about Heroes of Hyrule, this Retro Studios pitch that I guess Retro Studios developed pretty in-depth pitch with all sorts of artwork and stuff for a Zelda title that doesn't feature Link. And I haven't had a chance to watch this video. I know you have, David, right?
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah, so maybe you can tell us of any big highlights from the video. I mean, I guess this is all from the Giga Leak, or no, this was from the retro art that was right.
Yeah. So essentially, what Did You Know Gaming got their hands on when they spoke to the ex retro employee about the Chic game for their last video that they did? He also shared with them the pitch document from this DS kind of turn-based strategy / exploration action hybrid game that was going to be set in the Zelda universe, right? And so basically in this video, they just go through the whole pitch document, right? And the whole kind of like, it's got like art that they made specifically for it. It goes through like one of the gameplay scenarios of the turn-based strategy sections, right? But it was pretty in depth. It was really cool and interesting to listen to. And definitely worth checking out. I mean, if you're not subscribed to Did You Know Gaming, they're one of the best gaming YouTube channels out there. You should definitely subscribe to them. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just my takeaway from this, other than, damn, this would have been a really awesome game, is I think Retro as a company seems to be a company that really puts a lot of time and energy and money into pitches, right? And like developing games and really getting far along into it, maybe even going, I think the Chic game, they were working on that for like 9 or 10 months before that thing got shut down. This, I think, was like a number of weeks to put together this document and do all the designs and biz dev and stuff like that. But I think that's why we don't see stuff out of them all the time, is I think they're constantly trying to grab their dream project and do a really good pitch to Nintendo, and they just keep getting shut down. And I think that this is also what happened kind of in the interim between Tropical Freeze and Metroid Prime 4. I think they've been working on the Metroid Prime remaster or remake or whatever. But then B, I think they also, there's that rumor about that kind of rhythm-based or musical-based game that they had been working on, right? So I think that was another one that probably they didn't have the green light from Nintendo, but they were really passionate about it and spent a long time working on it. And then when it gets shut down, it's like, well, we got to go back to square one, right? And I think a big part of this video as well that I found interesting, and sorry, I'm going on for a long time, was basically it was now after 2 failed Zelda pitches that the CEO of the company had an all-hands meeting and was like, guys, we're doing Donkey Kong Country. There's no discussion about this. This is what we're doing. Either be with it or don't. And that's when a bunch of people quit, right? From Retro, right? And all the people that wanted to do Donkey Kong were left, right? And it ended up being great games, both of them.
Yeah, like why wouldn't they not want to do Donkey Kong? Those games, especially Tropical Freeze, are so good.
I mean, if they're big Metroid and Zelda fans and that's what they're in the industry to work on, right? They don't really want to work on a 2D platformer. I get it, right? But either way, it's very fascinating video. Unprecedented access into Retro.
Yeah, I thought some of the story elements of the game are fascinating because you don't play as Link. You play as these heroes, and yet the main kind of character is this boy who finds this book, and the story and gameplay follows. You're reading these stories from the book that the boy finds, where all these memories have been locked into the book. So as you read through the chapters, you play as a Goron or Zora, connecting back to Link.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 3 heroes and then that book and memories all kind of feels Breath of the Wild-ish.
I was gonna
Very
say,
much
that feels like a lot of stuff in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
So who knows if that influenced it or just
I'm sure it did.
Maybe Miyamoto saw it and he's like,
no, but we'll do this.
I'm gonna do it.
Or maybe they already were working on it's like parallel thought. They're like, no.
Yeah, it could be that too.
Not gonna have this come out before our thing.
I mean, I get it, right? I mean, I get why Nintendo wouldn't pick up on this.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a weird hybrid of 2 genres, which is always hard to pitch, right? And then, just, I don't think that Nintendo wants to be in the business of making a Zelda game where you don't play as Link. You know what I mean?
I mean, they do that with Metroid, but I don't think they're going to do that with Zelda or Mario for that matter.
Yeah. And like, Federation Force was like a huge bust for them, right? And,
Oh, was it? I was. I've never played. I'm a big Metroid fan, and I've never played Federation Force. So,
well, there you go. Yeah. Part of the problem, Gary.
Didn't know if I was alone in that or what. Yeah.
Well, we should move on. Something that Nintendo is doing is Nintendo Pictures. They purchased Dynamo Pictures, who they had worked with in the past, Japanese visual production company, and the website for Nintendo Pictures is live. It's in Japanese, so but that means that acquisition went through. It's all done, and they're now officially Nintendo Pictures, and they have their website, and they say they're going to be making unique videos and yada yada on their website. So that happened. Yeah, and we'll see what comes of it, if it's things that we actually see or if it's all kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, are we thinking it's like producing cutscenes and stuff, or more so than actual like feature stuff?
I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, I have a feeling that, excuse me, I have a feeling that the Mario movie is going to be co-produced by. I think they're going to be slapping the Nintendo Pictures logo at the beginning of the Mario movie, even though it's Illumination. I think it's like
maybe distributed in Japan.
Yeah, or just like, it's, just in the same way that, I mean, Nintendo is funding it, right? So I think that's going to be, in my opinion, I think that's going to be the first movie that has the banner of Nintendo Pictures on it, right? And, we've also been seeing a lot of, on the 6th this week, on Thursday, we're getting the first teaser trailer for the Mario movie. So if it opens with that, then we'll definitely know. But we've also been seeing Twitter profiles being made for the Mario movie, a lot of social media profiles being made for this thing. So the fact that this is all kind of happening at the same time makes me think that this is kind of the official first co-production between Nintendo Pictures and Illumination.
Moving on, we got some Pokemon news. Yay. Ed Sheeran has made a Pokemon song that apparently is going to be in Scarlet and Violet. I don't understand.
But no lyrics, no vocals. Just
is it like the lyrics going to be in it? I don't know. There's like a music video that just came out for this song.
It's a cool music video.
Yeah, actually, the video is kind of cool. The song's like okay, right?
It's a pop song,
in my opinion. Yeah, it's not.
It's a pop.
I'm really out of touch. My only knowledge of it, isn't he the one that guest starred in like the last season of Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
and everybody was mad about it, and I was like,
he was in that.
I thought it was fine. I was like, oh no, this is cool.
Yeah, he's just in the background.
He said Lantern. No, he plays a song.
He does a little song.
He sits with a lute and he serenades Arya Stark. He sings like a Lannister song, and it sounds good. And I was like, I didn't know that he was someone famous. So I was like, oh, I like this Lannister soldier guy playing the song. That's pretty neat. That's a neat scene. And then go on the internet and everyone was pissed off about it. And I was like, oh, okay.
If you liked Game of Thrones, you're going to love Pokemon. I'll tell you that.
I think people just don't like Ed Sheeran. Is maybe what it is. He's
overplayed at weddings is the problem.
Is that what it? Yeah, I don't think I mean, I bet I've heard a song of his.
I'm sure
I must have, but I wouldn't be able to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
I'm in love with your body. Is that one, right?
I don't think I've heard that.
Yeah. That's him. Yeah.
We
will now do every Ed Sheeran.
Well,
we're getting demonetized right now.
I did see an interview with him about this new movie he's in, where he's like the thing about it is like it's like a movie, and like it feels like a movie, you know.
Oh no, that's Harry Styles.
Oh, that's Harry Styles. That's another guy. Never mind. See, I can't keep track of all these.
They should have put
music stars.
Ed Sheeran in that movie though instead of Harry Styles. I think that would have been better.
Wait, who is Harry Styles then?
Another pop.
Just another guy. Okay, my bad.
That's okay. It all rolls together.
Showing my age.
Well, also in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet news, they showed off a new Pokemon who's like a variant of Diglett called Wiglet.
Yeah.
And they're like a big, long, wormy guy.
Even more phallic than Diglett.
Yeah. And the name like, is too, right? Well, I don't know.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. Nintendo's getting wild over here.
New star of the internet, Wiglet. Has been popping up.
Just imagine the Rule 34 art that's going to come out of Wiglet.
Yes. Already.
I have nothing to say on this matter.
We're moving on.
I mean, I'm just gonna say it. Vaporeon, sit down because we got the new most fuckable Pokemon.
Oh my God. Someone go to HR with this man.
All right. Skyrim, the game that will continually be sold on every
Never
platform and never die, has a new version that came out, I guess, last year?
Yeah.
Skyrim Anniversary Edition, if you needed a new version of Skyrim. It came to the Switch, and it's $70. The price for this game is $70 on the Nintendo Switch.
It is insanity. On the PC, you could buy every Elder Scrolls game that's ever been made and all the DLC and expansions for all of them twice for the cost of this fucking game. This is easily it's.
But can you play it portably? Oh wait, yeah, you can on a Steam Deck.
Yeah, you can on a Steam Deck. Yes, exactly. This is like the worst version too. It's going to be performing the worst of any version you could buy, unless you're buying it on like the PS3 or something. It's just like. It's insane.
Which, for the record, they have not released Skyrim Anniversary Edition on the PS3.
Because the PS3 store is shut down.
Oh my god!
But I'm pretty sure it is on the PS4 store. And
I mean, this basically got a lot of people up in arms because people were like, "Is this the first $70 Switch game?" Because we all know Sony is trying to do the $70 release thing, which they're doing successfully. Yeah.
I mean, games are going to have to get more expensive. Like they're going to have to. Like when I was when I was a teenager, I remember using my allowance when I was in 8th grade and putting down $75 for Chrono Trigger on the Super Nintendo. So I mean, and games got cheaper. Like when I was buying games for the N64, I remember spending like $80 on a game at one point. You know, so games got cheaper, and inflation keeps going, and games just stay the same price or just get cheaper because of Steam and all that. Now, you know, I don't usually pay more than $20 for a video game anymore.
Sure.
Unless it's brand new.
I think I do think there was a little bit of pearl clutching and a little bit of pitchfork grabbing, a little unnecessarily, because while it's very fucking stupid that this game is $70 on the Switch, I think that it's coming from a perspective of the original Skyrim, which was published by Nintendo physically, right, on Switch, is still $60 in stores. This has all the DLC. This has added mods and upgrades and stuff like that. And I think what they're trying to do is kind of the whole a game bundled with the DLC price or whatever, right? That's really not a correct analogy, but that's where they're coming from. I don't think that this necessarily means that Nintendo's going to start publishing games at $70.
I think Nintendo should start. Like, I think, you know, Tears of the Kingdom or whatever is probably going to need to be 70. Like, at some point, they're going to.
What is this? Don't put.
I'm not saying they should. Okay. It's just of all the games to start the $70 thing with, it's you start a game that is literally about to be the 11th anniversary next month.
Do you think? Do you think this is testing the waters for a $70 price point?
Oh boy, it feels like it. It feels like this is you release it for $70, and then you see how much to see if it works for a couple months, and then in November of the holidays you do a bunch of sales. Then you see how that sells.
Right.
And then you see a permanent price, either it stays the same or you see a permanent decrease.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a window of time to see how well it sells at $70, how well it sells. Maybe they bring it down to like $50 and then back to 70.
And imagine if games can become 70 and then Nintendo's like, but if you have the Switch Online expansion pack, it's $10 off on every game. So it's $60.
Oh,
that would actually be a value. That'd be a value.
That sounds
right there,
like something they will do. That sounds like something they're going to do.
It's not. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad value added, honestly. For if they're going to go up 70 either way, that wouldn't be a bad value add to the expansion pack.
Yeah, you are such an evil capitalist.
I don't think they're going 70. Personally, no. I think this is the unique situation, and maybe if there's a Switch successor or something, and PlayStation has already established that, and yada yada. But
I think it probably depends on Microsoft. I think if Microsoft follows suit and they start doing their games at 70 that aren't like third-party games that are matched to price of that. I think that's when we'll start to see it. But I don't think they're ever going to do it because they don't care. They've got Game Pass anyway.
Yeah, I will say like they can make games $100 as long as they keep giving them. They make them free day one on Game Pass. I mean,
Yeah.
shit.
I was gonna move on to the fact that the PlayStation 5, while we're talking about Sony, has been jailbroken. So modders have already found a way into the PS5. I guess it only works on old firmware. It's kind of typically how this kind of stuff happens, right? They find a way in and then keep building up from there. But this is like brand new news, and I'm not really clear on exactly, what's possible with it and all that sort of thing. But PS5 has been jailbroken.
Yeah, it's still early days. From what I understand, it's read, write only, and you can't do any executables on it so far. So there's no like homebrew ability for the time being. But this is like the first step. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is what happens before that happens. Like kind of, the floodgates are open into the architecture, so to speak, right? So time will tell. A jailbroken PS5 sounds like a pretty cool idea, but we'll see what happens, and I'm sure we'll give updates as this progresses.
At least we're a couple weeks away from Doom.
The
Game, not Doom is in our the Earth, but Doom is in coming to the PS5 jailbroken platform.
Yeah,
There you go.
A game that will definitely be $70 is Horizon Zero Dawn's getting a remastered version coming to the PlayStation 5. How old is that game? It's like 5 years old?
5 years old.
2017.
Sony's crazy. Why are they
it came out the same month as Breath of the Wild. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They must be they got somebody crunching these numbers, and they're making money, I guess, off of doing all these recent game remakes and remasters. But like Spider-Man and this and Last of Us and
The Last of Us one is crazy because there's already a Last of Us remaster, so it's a remaster of a remaster. But,
it's like a remake,
and they removed
isn't it?
multiplayer.
I don't
from
know.
it.
yeah. Oh, and they removed the multiplayer too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because I just started the PS4 version on my PS5 like a month ago, and then here comes the remaster. I'm like, all right, well, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I will say, like, I haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn on my PS5. I got it on my PC before I got my PS5, and it kind of looks bad sometimes. So I could see really being able to do something nice with it on the PS5. Like some of the, like, it looks good at times, but the character models, like, they look Pixar-ish, like that kind of plasticky feel to them. Like
Carrie, I gotta draw the line. We cannot do remasters of 5-year-old games. Okay, that's ridiculous.
It's
I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. We gotta stop it fucking somewhere, right? I mean, everybody was like, 10 years old, Last of Us remake. That's too soon. 5 years is ridiculous. It's like it feels like they're pushing it as far as they can go. Now, granted, I do need to say this was exposed in a leak, right? That this was coming out. This has not been officially announced as far as I understand. It was in a leak. It has been corroborated by several sources, but that happes all the time for stuff.
So it could just be in development. Something.
Yeah, it could have been.
This is a rumor, right?
Okay.
Yeah. I think we should put this in the rumor category. But I mean, there's lots of stuff in that leak that has also been proven true, and it's again, like I said, been corroborated by several sources. But that being said, I mean, didn't they do this with Spider-Man?
Yeah.
They did it with the Spider-Man, right? They redid the character models and they sold it for a higher price.
Well,
Final Fantasy integrated,
they made a PS5
right?
version, but it's not. I mean, it's not that. They just added some features to the Spider-Man thing. Like, it's not like I wouldn't call it a full remaster. They just added like ray tracing, basically.
Yeah.
Peter Parker looks different. He's got a different face,
A whole new face.
a whole different body and face.
Okay,
A whole new face. Or you can get the PC version and download the mod to bring back his old face. All right, David.
That's capitalism.
Or play as Woody from Toy Story. I mean,
All right,
What's
David.
that,
What do you think? Picross S remaster for Orchids.
They're kind of doing that for free. Yeah, they add in 4-player multiplayer into Picross S1. No need to rebuy the game.
So 4?
I'm for.
Yeah, okay.
No, I want a Horizon Picross game
Yeah.
on the Switch.
that'd be cool.
right, so
you heard it here
Robot
first.
dinosaurs.
So now we're moving into the section of the news where things get shut down. Overwatch is being shut down.
Yeah, I think it shut down a couple of days ago, actually.
Yeah, or is shut down now as of the first of the month, I think.
Yeah.
Because Overwatch 2 released, which is kind of shitty. I think
it was inevitable, but yeah, I was super into Overwatch. Like I played ranked. I was really into it. I probably put easily 300-400 hours into Overwatch, and then Blizzard really started showing their ass with their bad behavior as a company.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I don't need to play Blizzard games for a while. And I put down Overwatch and I haven't touched it. And since I was looking back at it, I was like, man, they've added like 10 heroes since last time I played. I kind of wouldn't mind playing this game again. But
there's even more now with Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
Right.
But I guess the good news is Overwatch 2 is free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I just feel like if you're somebody who just bought Overwatch or something, like a few months, that's where it feels
if you bought Overwatch already, then you will start off Overwatch 2 with, I think,
okay.
I think all the characters unlocked. I couldn't be certain about that, but I think you can transfer. If you had Overwatch and you had created an account, then because the thing they're doing with this one is they're doing like the battle pass thing,
right?
Where you have to unlock characters, and if you're not paying, then it's going to take a long time. It's a grind. I think you get the characters, or at least a lot of them, for free if you already had Overwatch 1.
Yeah,
maybe it's not as bad as I think.
I think that it's dumb that they're shutting down Overwatch 1 servers, especially when you look at something like Splatoon 1, which is still running. Those servers are still running to this day, right? I think there's a funny meme where Splatoon is like at the grave of Overwatch, and it's like, I saw you born and I saw you die. And like, but I think it's, I think it's a bit of a misnomer, because really Overwatch 2 is not a sequel to Overwatch. It's just free to play Overwatch with more content being added. It's more like almost like a season 2, like how they do in free to play games, right? And so, it's dumb, but it's really if anything, this just proves that Overwatch 2 is not a real sequel, and it's just a continuation of Overwatch, right?
Yeah. I think that's exactly it. Exactly. Like, I think it's better than it's the new version of Overwatch.
Yeah.
They mechanically, like, people that have been playing it in the previews were saying it feels exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's the way, like, I mean, playing Splatoon 3 feels right. It's just like, it's just more Splatoon 2 with some added stuff that you like, and you're not complaining about it. Like, oh, this is great. It's more Splatoon with more stuff, And I think the issue is the battle pass thing rubs people the wrong way, because the thing of Overwatch was, when it came out, it was $40, not $60. It was $40, and you get every character, and every single bit of DLC that's ever come out for the game has been completely free. Every character they've added has been added for free. So people feel like, all right, I got this game.
That's how they got you.
I paid for it. And so and now you've got the free game. And, but again, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the unlocks carry over. But I can, like, if especially if some of the cosmetic stuff doesn't, I can imagine that being upsetting for some people, because you could spend like a lot of money or a lot of time on those loot boxes, which they're not having loot boxes anymore because they tired of getting in trouble with the EU. And so I could see that, But.
Yeah. Well, our next shutdown is the ZAUM Cultural Association, which is not the actual developers of Disco Elysium, but is their, like, I don't really understand, cultural association. But I guess it's not the, like, company. But apparently some of the key people that made Disco Elysium are no longer at the studio anymore. I think this is one of those cases of success actually being bad. Like, like money got involved, and then the creatives got forced out, or
it sounded like a breakup, like a friend group breaking up more than a company. Like, they're like, the company's staying around, but our cultural association is gone.
Yeah, and the some of the key people who made it all left the company.
Yeah.
I think all the main people who, like, crafted the story and the world and kind of the soul of the game, really, right? Kind of the lore people, the people who are like, the reason the game is as good as it is, have basically been involuntarily left the company, is I think what the verbiage was.
Yeah, it's involuntarily was specifically mentioned.
Yeah.
It's sad because you want to see what are they going to come up with next, like, which
Well,
I'm
yeah,
sure they
maybe-
will still.
Maybe they'll have freedom now.
Yeah.
We'll see.
This is a real shame, though. I think that Disco Elysium, yeah, like you were saying, Patrick, was far more successful than anybody ever anticipated it was going to be. And, you know, the company probably didn't know how to deal with that success other than being huge money grubbing dicks about it. And it just sucks because, you know, as from what I understand, this game was like very much an introduction into this world, you know, and they had lots more stories to tell within this world. So I hope somebody can make some sort of agreement on this and bring them back into the fold, or they can get the IP back or something like that. Because I know I was just reading Twitter replies to this. People seemed like genuinely like heartbroken to hear this. People who invested hours and, you know, like hundreds of hours into this game. Yeah.
Well, moving on, our last bit of shutdown news is going to lead us into our main topic. So I don't know how much we want to hold for after the break, but Google Stadia, the cloud gaming service from Google, is joining the Google graveyard of many Google products going to be canceled, shutting down in January next year. So you got precious 3 months here to play your Google Stadia games.
Store is already shut down.
Mm-hmm.
You can't buy anything on the store anymore.
And in typical Google fashion, it like happened. Yeah, like they just pull the rug out from everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, they like a dev's like, we have a game launching in 2 days.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
No, you
don't.
2 days. 2 days.
Yeah.
And
It's a shame too, because I think Stadia had the best revenue split of any of these platforms.
That's what they were
developers.
saying.
Yeah.
They're saying they had Brandon Sheffield of Necrosoft was saying, that it has at least of all the streaming services, by far the best revenue share. And his company was like, basically, we're putting a game out on Stadia to make back the money that we've spent this year developing stuff. And now
Which I think that's a fool's errand. I don't think anybody buys any games on Stadia. That's why it's shutting down.
Right.
Exactly.
Despite Google being trigger happy on shutting things down, I think they might also be shutting this one down because it's so weird. I don't know. Maybe we should hold some of this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think. Yeah. I guess let's just hold it.
We'll hold it.
We'll hold it and we'll talk about it.
Well, hold on.
You know what? Let's hold it. Let's take a break. We'll hold it. With that, we're going to talk a little bit more about Google Stadia and a lot about.
All I want to say is I just have
a lot about cloud gaming in general.
The Stadia's coming back in remaster.
5 years, maybe
$70 after this break. We're back this week. We're talking about cloud gaming, and we're going to talk a little bit also about the Google Stadia shutdown and walk through that and kind of what that means for cloud gaming as well. And we'll start with that. But first, if you're listening, you don't know what cloud gaming is. Maybe we'll dig into this even more in a minute. But
Sure.
Just very briefly, like cloud gaming would be that you're playing a game that's being streamed to you. You don't have the game on your computer, right? Like think about when you watch a movie on Netflix or something. You didn't download that movie; it's being streamed to you. So similar to that, right? We can get into the nitty gritty of that if we want to. But Google Stadia. Let's finish up our conversation that we kind of opened up with. I think Google Stadia is the face of cloud gaming in a lot of ways, even if has been for the last few years. We'll talk about all the other cloud gaming services, but that's why I think that this is interesting, because a lot of people associate cloud gaming with Stadia, and Stadia just seemed doomed from the beginning, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I've been ride or die for Google since the company started when I was in college, and I'm like get on the ground floor of all their stuff. I was Google Plus day
It's a
one.
mistake.
Google Meet. I used
Google
to use
Plus.
Google
Dude,
Meet.
that's a throwback.
Yeah.
Google Wave.
Google Wave.
Oh, man.
I tried to push Google Wave like as a workflow thing at my my in-laws company back in the day. Like,
Is that the one-
Google this?
Is
Google
that the one
Glass.
that like made you be in the social media network? Was that Google Plus or was that Google Wave?
think Google Plus was like forced you into.
You're like in circles or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was bad. And I even got to work at their offices in Austin one time for like a gig working like developing lesson plans for Google Classroom. And it was cool. Like they're like, oh yeah, Google Classroom's big actually. Okay. It's big. But they're just one of those companies like, let's try anything. But if something isn't working, getting rid of that shit. Yeah. Even if it's working pretty well, if it's not working good enough, it's gone. Done.
What's fascinating to me about this, in particular with Google Stadia, is in light of this shutdown, I think it was like Jason Schreier was pointing out how much money that he had found out they had spent to get games on the service.
Yeah.
He reported that it was like shocking amounts of money, tens of millions of dollars per game for some of the big games just to get them. Like
Destiny 2, I'd imagine, is probably one of those.
He particularly said Red Dead 2 and Assassin's Creed, but I'm sure all the big ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that they were spent millions of dollars to get all these developers to make their own games. And then a year and a half ago, they just shut that down. That was kind of a sign that this was going to happen too, right?
Yeah. As soon as that happened, it was like, okay, so this is going to be over soon. Like I was assumed it was done at that point.
Very much in the way that VR has been a thing for a long time, but is only really now getting momentum because of Oculus, really.
Right.
Kind of kicked it off. Game streaming is not a new concept, but Google Stadia is what pushed it into the mainstream now, right? Which is funny that it's the first one to go, right? But I mean, this has been going on for a while. You know, do you guys remember OnLive? That was meant to be the future. Right? Yeah, it was one of the first ones, and I mean, that was meant to be the future of gaming back then. And we weren't, infrastructure wasn't quite ready for it then. And then now we're at pretty much the same position, right? Where it's like, this is getting shut down because I just don't think that infrastructure is good enough, right? For it, at least here in the States, right? And so, Stadia shutting down is going to be interesting if this is going to be a trend that continues and and it gets pushed back again, kind of in the way that VR is right now. Like VR hasn't really taken off into the mainstream, even though it's the closest it's ever been, right?
Right.
Right now, we've got Microsoft Azure and their cloud services, and then xCloud and all the stuff they have with Game Pass, and they're going to be the ones that are kind of carrying the torch forward. But yeah,
not Amazon.
No. I mean, and let's talk about that for a second because I don't have to.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I also wanted. I think OnLive is interesting because you brought that up because I'm just looking at their Wikipedia. It came out in 2009. It stopped in 2012, and then in 2015, Sony bought the patents for all of their technologies to kind of make PlayStation Now. Mm-hmm. So this cloud gaming has been in the works for the past decade or more.
Right. Well, I think that's why Stadia has failed, right? And I think that's why Luna's going to fail as well, is because these are, and I've ranted about this on the show before, but these are companies that are trying to get into gaming for the profit of it and not because they are gaming companies that have worked their way up to success.
And they're starting with hardware too, I think, or with Apple. I'm not trying to say Apple's great, but one thing I think they've done well with Apple Arcade is investing in developers and investing in unique games that suit their platform, and then paying money to those developers to have exclusive rights for a year or whatever, right?
And then give them a lot of freedom to kind of make.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're making a unique game. Apple's problematic in other ways, maybe, but I think if Google had done that, right, it didn't, right? It's just we're gonna throw money at this.
Yeah, and they've got fuck you money, right? Where they can just be like, all right, fuck
exactly.
it,
right? Everybody's got fuck you money. It's Google.
Yeah, and the problem is the problem, like you were saying, Carrie. It's like people immediately get invested in this stuff because it's it's ubiquitous, right? It's everywhere. Yeah. It's like their services are easily accessible because they make them easily accessible with all their money. So everybody starts to use them, and then as soon as they're not reaching the level that they need it to be. They shut it down, and then it throws people's lives into disarray sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm looking at other big Google services that seem to me like the writing is on the wall at some point. It's like, when are they going to shut them down? Like, for instance, I was a big Google Music subscriber, right? Like Google
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
I have 9 Google Homes in my house because that's what we use them for. Google Music had all of our music on it. And so we could listen to anything in our collection, like all the MP3s and stuff my wife and I have amassed over.
Yeah.
And now, no, got to use Pandora or Spotify. Which
Yeah,
has a
like that was
it doesn't have my music, and it's
like Google Music. If you don't know what it was basically like, it was a combination of like Spotify and this old website that used to be around called lala.com that I really miss. But that was one where you, instead of just having access to all music like Spotify, you would basically like buy the rights to stream a song instead of buying the MP3, and you would buy it for like 10 cents instead of 99 cents or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But then in addition to that, any MP3s you already had, you could upload to their cloud.
And
right.
That was big because my wife especially is a big music head, and we just had, literally thousands of CDs that we ripped, and we had them all uploaded into our Google Music, and then not only not accessible, just gone.
Yeah, it's just gone.
They gave you like 6 months, like, hey, better get your music off here because it's gone forever.
Yeah. So it's, I'm looking at like Google Voice and
I was gonna say Google Voice I use as a teacher. I used to use that all the time for making parent phone calls and not having to use my own personal cell phone or house phone or whatever to call parents, and then get called back on my cell phone on like Sunday morning and shit.
Right.
And, nope, no more Google Voice.
I used Google Groups quite a bit, and then that disappeared.
Google
It wasn't
Groups.
great, but I remember using that. And then there were same thing you're saying, David. They're like, or Carrie, you said like, get a warning, like download all your shit. And I'm like, I have a bunch of shit on there. I don't even
Google Reader. I was
going to say Google Reader. I still mourn the loss of Google Reader.
I use that so much.
Yeah.
Who's cloud gaming for? I think, when Patrick, you're talking about Apple Arcade, that is a service that's successful because there's a huge install base, the base of, iOS users, tons, so many. With Google Stadia or any cloud gaming, like, who's it for?
I know who it's supposed to be for, right? It's the person who can't afford or doesn't have a gaming PC or a next-gen console, but has unlimited high-speed internet.
Yeah, which is a real small Venn diagram.
That's the thing. It's like, it's like if you've got the unlimited high-speed internet, you probably got a console, in which case there's no point to cloud gaming.
There might be something, but that's a good point that the argument that I keep seeing in defense of it is that it's sort of a supplemental thing, right? Like, so maybe you're somebody who has a PC and good internet, but you want like xCloud or whatever to stream it on your couch, or would you know what I mean? Or like, I don't know, but maybe if we live in a world where there's high-speed internet everywhere or something, you know what I mean? That's but we're not there yet, right?
That comes back to the whole infrastructure thing, right? It's like, I think when this stuff is finally going to take off, and this is what Google is trying to do, like I have a Google Stadia controller back there that I got for free. I think I paid $1 for it, and I got that and a 4K Chromecast. I got the thing just for the Chromecast, right? But that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to make it to where you plug in your Chromecast, you do that, and then it talks directly to the Wi-Fi and all that kind of shit, right? So I think what they're trying to do now with xCloud is build it right into TVs, right? So it's like you buy a smart TV, it comes with the ability to stream games. That's when they're going to really get to that casual market that I think cloud gaming is trying to get to. But then you still run into the problem where you're going to boot these games up. It's fucking choppy. You've got, artifacts everywhere because it's streaming in and it looks like shit. And then people are going to get frustrated and shut the game off. You know what I mean? So it's like, we're just not there yet. And they keep trying to push this. And it's just,
And it depends. Because if like I've got, high speed, unlimited internet, and Stadia played like I never had any artifact. One time I had any kind of lag, and it lasted like 5 seconds. One time, and that was it. Otherwise, playing on it, and I only maybe played like 80 hours because I just played through Cyberpunk on it. But
that's significant.
It played beautifully, and it was like it was the best way to play that game at launch. It's like almost no bugs. It played perfectly because it's playing on, Google's like supercomputers or whatever.
Right.
And streaming, I've got like, 450, 480, down. And so I can at least wired, I could play it, and I could pop it in on my phone on 5G and it would still play pretty well on my phone too. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
that makes me think like another use case for it that we don't quite yet have is like gigantic games, right? Like the idea that games are so massive and well made that you just can't be downloading every one of them on your device.
Yeah.
And
you
and
could
that
try
sort of
out a
thing.
bunch of stuff. I did that the other day just to prepare for the podcast. I was like, let me pop in here and that's like a neat
On
feature of
Stadia?
Stadia on Stadia, you can, a lot of the games on Stadia, you can play for free for like 30 minutes or an hour or 90 minutes. And so I could just pop in and try out this game. All right, pop. Now I'm trying out this game. Now I'm trying out this game. No install time. It was just Alt Tab, or just like escape, click this game. Bam, this game's playing.
I like that about Game Pass as well, right?
Mhm.
It's like if I want to try out a game, maybe I don't want to like sit and download the entire thing, clear up space on my hard drive, open it up, and play it for 5 minutes, and be like, "This isn't for me." Sometimes it makes sense just to like open a game immediately, right?
So you can
And
do
try
that
it out.
on Game Pass on the
Yeah,
console?
for as long as it's got a cloud version of it, right?
Oh, cool.
And I did that with Sable, I believe, and then I liked it, so I downloaded it, right?
Yeah.
As far as Stadia is concerned, like the technology was not the issue, right? Like I think out of all of the streaming game companies, like Stadia had the best tech in the back end, right? I think the problem was they just had a subscription model, and then you would still have to buy the games, like individual. Most of the games you would just have to buy individually,
Yeah.
right? And so it's like it just was. They never got what the best use case of it was supposed to be, right? And they had all these aspirations of like, somebody will be streaming a game on YouTube, and then you can click a button on YouTube and join their game without ever having to buy it. Like they never did any of that
No.
stuff, right?
No.
They
that
got
sounded
bogged
cool
down
in
and
theory.
That
Yeah,
sounded interesting. Yeah.
I think they got bogged down in spending a shit ton of fucking money on getting developers to put stuff on their platform. And then they're like, okay, well, in order to make back that investment, we're going to have to charge for this game individually. Otherwise, they're not going to come to our platform. Right. And so then they just ran into the situation where it's okay, well, now we've got this platform. We're not using it the way it should be used. Right. And so I think that's probably a big reason why it shut down.
And also Matthew's point about who is this for? They marketed it to hardcore gamers, but hardcore gamers immediately had a lot of resistance to that model, to cloud gaming, right or wrong, which is something I want us to talk about. But like, gamers want to own their games, and at least right now, and they didn't do a good job of convincing anybody why to get on, you know what I mean? Like, because there's nothing exclusive.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Were there any Stadia exclusives?
They were working on them, and then
There were a couple,
shut
yeah.
all their studios
Yeah,
down.
they shut them all down. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think Matthew hit it on the head. It's just like, who is this for? I mean, it was fun for me. I mean, it was my whole thing was I got to play it Cyberpunk for free.
Yeah,
So,
right. You got
because
the deal.
I did the deal. I got the Stadia controller and the Chromecast Ultra. Like David was saying, I flipped and sold them for more than I bought it for. And now I'm going to get a refund. Yeah.
Yeah, that we should talk about that. To Google's credit, they are refunding literally everything. So
Yeah, that's
any game you
insane.
ever bought on the service, any hardware you ever bought,
Wow.
any of
full
it,
value.
they're
At full
putting
value.
yeah, they're giving you the full value back. And it's just like this is basically
That's
I think it's like
nuts.
$1 billion, this is like probably $1 billion loss
Yeah,
at least.
I can't
of what
believe they're doing that. Like that is crazy that they're just refunding the money. I mean, that's great. I'm glad. I feel bad for the person I sold the Stadia controller to because
They can't get their money back.
that thing isn't really that useful on anything. But I mean, it's a really nice controller. Like, right, Dave, you like it, David, right? Like, have you played with it very much?
Dude, the Stadia controller. Well, no, because I don't fuck with Stadia. but no, the
It feels
controller.
nice.
I've got the controller.
Yeah, show it to our video.
Yeah, the controller over here. If you're watching on the YouTube version, you can see it here. It's just like a really well built controller that feels great. It's got great sticks. The whole like build quality is incredible.
It's got that like satin feel to it almost.
Yeah. The problem is that this controller connects directly to Wi-Fi. The whole point was to cut the lag out between So you're not going to the device that's then also streaming. This is going to the Wi-Fi, and your device is going to the Wi-Fi to make the input delay as little as possible over a streaming network. Now, that's awesome for them, but the problem is that this doesn't work as just a regular Bluetooth controller now, right? There is Bluetooth inside here, but with the drivers for this controller, that Bluetooth is not turned on, right? So I think something that a lot of people are asking Google to do now, and I'm among them, I would love to be able to use this controller, is instead of just making millions of bits of e-waste now, and this stuff is just completely inert, they should put out some sort of driver or something that allows this to be used as a Bluetooth controller on other consoles, because otherwise this is just going to go in a landfill somewhere, right?
Well, I mean, it can be used with a USB-C cable as a wired controller also.
Yeah, but it's the year of our Lord 2022.
I know.
Fucking with cables.
I'm saying, like, I'm trying to console myself about that person because I sold that thing on eBay. I don't even know if I can still see that sale.
Yeah. Yeah. If you got one of these in box, hold on to it, is what I'm saying.
Maybe worth something someday. Well, maybe we can move past Stadia then, unless there's anything else somebody wants to say, and we can just talk about cloud.
The one last thing I wanted to say, and I was actually looking it up, so maybe give me just 1 second.
Sure.
Stadia, the launch of Stadia and the kind of whole thing was put on by Phil Harrison. And Phil Harrison famously is the guy who totally bundled the Xbox One launch, and he totally fumbled the Stadia launch, and a couple other things as well. Like, he's just got this just total losing streak of big ideas that just totally flop in the gaming industry. And I just hope that I hope he moves out of gaming because and pretty much everything he touches
Blizzard
goes to
hire
dust.
him for Diablo 4.
Yeah. And under his kind of leadership, that's how all this stuff is shutting down. Employees of Stadia didn't know they were getting let go until they saw the news articles about it and stuff like this. And it's like, this guy's got to go, man. I just hope he doesn't move to Nintendo or anything like that.
I just feel bad for the developers that are like the No More Robots guys that made a Hypnospace Outlaw. If y'all played that, or Fashion Police Squad, they had a game. They had a game coming out next month, and they're like, Google owes us money. Are they going to pay us?
They will. In addition to the consumers that bought all their shit, they're paying out developers.
Oh, they are paying out developers? That's
a massive money sink. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
That's nuts. Well, we should move on just to talk about cloud gaming in general. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is the criticism of Stadia. The pushback that happened with Stadia is just sort of against cloud gaming in general by people. And I think that there's some of that is justified, right? Maybe it's the way, and this is where I think it's unfortunate this is the way it worked out, because I think cloud gaming might have a role. Maybe it does have an audience. Maybe we don't know what it is. Maybe we don't have the infrastructure. Those things are being figured out. But now I think so many people are going to associate this with it.
Well, once we get to 10G, it's going to be no problem.
But what do you think about this? Anytime a cloud game is announced, there's people who just, say cloud gaming sucks. No interest in it. Carrie, you had a good experience. It's possible if it's the way that you can play, if all you have is a Switch.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great one right there. They have the cloud gaming stuff on the Switch for games that the Switch can't handle, right? I haven't played any of that. I don't know how it plays, but have y'all done any of that?
I've tried them out out of
interest.
Resident
Evil.
And then people are critical of Kingdom Hearts coming as a cloud version, and maybe there's some,
well, I think it's they want everything. They want everything. And it's the Switch can't handle some stuff.
Right.
So okay. It can handle Kingdom Hearts.
Well,
I've had enough of your rampant capitalism, Carrie.
No. I think we're mixing up two things, right? It can't handle something maybe like Control, right?
Right.
But it can handle some things, and so maybe there's a just general anger that's coming up for both of those.
Well, I think the reason that people were pissed, especially about the Kingdom Hearts thing, is that it's opening the door to cloud gaming, and it's not inherently bad, right? Yeah, selling something on the Switch that wouldn't be able to run otherwise, that's fine. But I think the problem with the Kingdom Hearts thing is it's okay, well, so there is a market for cloud gaming on the Switch, so we don't have to put in the time and effort into actually making a port. You know what I mean? Like Nier Automata. Nier Automata either just came out or comes out this Friday on the Switch.
I think, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like
or maybe it's just
everyone's saying it's like a miracle port, right? Like it runs incredibly on the Switch at 30 FPS, right? There are some sacrifices you have to make, but it's like less of a sacrifice than having to be connected to the internet at all times in order to stream the thing, right? So I think that people resent cloud gaming on the Switch because it's an avenue for people to take instead of putting in time and money into actually making a legitimate port.
I was just gonna say, I think that we'll see what people buy then, right? Like, and I know that there's some people that I don't know. I'm not that upset about it, but I also don't care about Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I don't. That's true. And I was speaking of ignorance. I have no idea what Kingdom Hearts 3 even looks like. I'm not interested in that, so I don't know. But I was saying, and it's not with Kingdom Hearts. It's not the case, but there probably are some developers that couldn't afford to put out a port, but could afford to put it to streaming, possibly. I don't know
if they made a Stadia version and they had it on hand to have this cloud version available, which now they won't,
I mean, if it works, I mean, that might be how you get to play Cyberpunk on your Switch.
Well, I think the thing that kind of irks me, or that I find kind of darkly humorous about this whole situation, is we've got two companies right now, Razer and Logitech, that are putting out streaming handhelds. You know what I mean? Like, they just invested all the R&D and they're putting this stuff out, and everybody was already saying this is a bad idea because for about the same money you could buy a Steam Deck, which plays stuff natively and can do streaming, right? But they were putting out these handhelds that were streaming only handhelds, right? Mm-hmm. They're supposed to be kind of xCloud machines, right? But a big part of that was like, if you have Stadia, this is going to be a perfect device for that, right? And now these are coming out right as Stadia is getting pulled from the market, right? And so that's a huge rug being pulled out from under these these tech manufacturers.
Yeah, I think I also think people hate cloud gaming because the face of it was Stadia and Amazon and Google, and that that doesn't, like you said, that they aren't coming in
Microsoft
from making but I don't know if people hate that as much because it feels like maybe that's the savior of all this, right? Is that like xCloud is seen as a supplemental thing.
Yeah, I feel like xCloud is a benefit. You get it with Game Pass. It's not the focus. Mm-hmm. Like you can, if you have Game Pass,
it's Game Pass Ultimate, right? Don't you have to have Ultimate to get?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, you tell me.
I only have Game Pass PC because I don't have an Xbox console, so I don't know. I don't have the stream. I know that I can't do the streaming with Xbox with Game Pass on PC.
Yeah, you're right. Game Pass Ultimate. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. But still, you're right. And Game Pass has bought so much goodwill from gamers and developers because it has a good revenue stream for developers. It actually helps a lot of developers a lot of indie developers have said, has helped them get their games discovered and to a wider audience than they would have had before, who then end up buying the games and have such a good value. So many games. It's just like Game Pass is amazing. So yeah, adding it as like a feature onto Game Pass, I don't think is ticking people off as much.
Because it's something that you get. Whereas like Stadia, it's the main thing. It's maybe you have a good experience, but there's some friction involved with using it. Whereas like xCloud, you're going to be a little bit more forgivable because it's xCloud beta.
I just couldn't see getting mad at Stadia. It's like Stadia is like, it's a curiosity that if it works, like, oh, that's neat. And if it doesn't, it's like, all right, well, I guess that didn't work. I mean, I can't see really getting super invested in it, but I get it with the Switch, what you're saying about like feeling like it stops ports from coming. That makes sense. I could see that. I hadn't really thought of it.
Pissed off about it.
I hadn't thought of it from that perspective before. It felt like people like, kind of yelling at clouds a little bit. Anyway.
But yeah, I think the xCloud thing, we should focus on that because I do think that it's supplemental.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's a great point that you made, Matt. Yeah.
That's where cloud gaming fits in right now. Well, right. Mm-hmm. Like to be like, I'm somebody who uses it when it makes sense. Right.
Well, that's how you get actual gamers, the non-casuals, to use it. Mm-hmm. Right. Where it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't get to my thing right now. Or my fucking Xbox is upstairs and I don't want to move. And so I'm just going to play this on my phone for a second.
I want to play Halo Infinite on my phone while I'm waiting for my plane.
Yeah.
Yeah. if you can get on that fucking airport Wi-Fi for less than $10 an hour or whatever. But,
once we get that nationwide 10G, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. I mean, definitely they're doing it best right now. I think even most people don't even realize Sony offers this stuff. You know what I mean?
You mean like PlayStation Now?
The PlayStation Now streaming. And then a lot of people think that, I mean, PlayStation Now is no longer around. It's PlayStation Plus now. Yeah, but a lot of people thought for the whole time that PlayStation Now was around that it was just streaming, and we're just like, fuck that. You know, there's all this miscommunication around Sony's like streaming gaming.
Yeah, they really did a bad job on that.
Yeah,
and it's interesting because people mad. That's another area where people got real mad at the PS3 games on the PS5 are all streaming only.
Yeah.
And that's I think the most expensive tier is the only one that has that also.
Yeah.
Because I have PS Plus on my PS5, but I think it's PS Plus. I have PS Plus Extras. I have the middle tier. And then I think it's PS Plus Ultimate that you have to get and people were mad. They're like, well, what, a PS5 can't run PS3?
That's where you get port resentment, right? Like people are like, you can't put the R&D in to make a fucking emulator for your supercomputer PS5 fucking machine that's supposed to be top of its class.
The RPSC3 guys would probably do it for free at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that we should talk about, because I think whether we like it or not, I do think that cloud gaming is the future.
Right.
That's we're going for sure. We're going to get there eventually.
I think it's the main. I think I think video gamers are like hardcore gamers, the outspoken ones, are always behind, right? Like
that's why they still collect physical.
They want
copies
physical,
of games.
and then they're finally accepting digital. But then this idea of like, but I want to actually own it and it not to be on the cloud. But I think that eventually, and I'm kind of in favor of, assuming the infrastructure supports it, we get rid of physical things. We get rid of even like digital ownership and stuff, like, because I don't know. I mean, it's messy, right? And they're consumer rights. I'm kind of rambling.
As long as cloud gaming gives me the equivalent experience, quick load times, access to my save games, I'm totally okay. There are some areas of improvement that really needs to be in order to provide a consistent experience, because it's a lower experience when you're trying to play a game on like Luna or Stadia or xCloud.
Yeah.
I try to play Flight Simulator on xCloud. The lag is really bad. It's like fun. It's great to like look at and play, and the fact that I can play this incredible game on a cloud version, it's just the experience of it all is like only for a short amount of time. But I don't really want to play it for hours on hours.
Yeah, like I've on my Steam Deck, the only way for me to play my Game Pass games is through xCloud. Right? There's no real good native way to play games through the Microsoft Store and thusly through the Game Pass library natively on your Steam Deck, right? And so I can do that, and I've got fast internet, but at the end of the day, it's running at 540p. I've got input lag, if I get a hiccup in my internet, the whole thing like buffers, and it's like it's just a subpar experience. But I think that is because we just don't, I think we'll get to a point eventually, right? It's like, we got there with music. We got there with movies.
Yeah.
Like games are the next logical step, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking.
And are they big on streaming in Japan? On game streaming in Japan? I think I've heard that, and because their internet infrastructure is so much better than ours.
Yeah.
It's so much ridiculously faster.
Well, they're all
reliable.
The whole country is compressed into a little island, so it's a lot easier to get good coverage.
Yeah, but most of the world, most of Europe is better. Even Belarus, the last dictatorship of Europe, has way faster, better internet than us. So,
what were you going to say, Matt?
I think there's, just thinking about because what's happening today is there is input lag, as David, as you're saying. So there's probably a certain type of game that is best suited for cloud gaming, and I think of like maybe a visual novel or a turn-based RPG, something that's not an FPS or an online FPS. Something that you can experience and it'll slow down the gameplay a little bit are probably best for those type of platforms.
Yep.
Well, you've got something interesting, and kind of going back to Stadia here and just talking about games being made for the platform. Hideo Kojima's next game was going to be a Death Stranding sequel that was going to be a Stadia exclusive. You know, I think that's probably a big reason why Stadia was shut down. You know, I think Hideo Kojima was probably like, yo, I'm going to need 5 years to fucking make this thing. You know what I mean? And Stadia's like, I don't know if we can do that. I don't know if we could stay open for 5 years, bud. And so now, I mean, they've announced, you know, Kojima's moving his project over to xCloud, right? Like he's using Microsoft's Azure services. I think another thing that they were talking about with that is Kojima wanted to make it a single player game that used the cloud for kind of like how they did with Death Stranding, you know, with kind of the way that it's kind of this asynchronous multiplayer, right?
Multiplayer,
yeah. And so I think, I think Stadia wanted to push games that were big multiplayer games to get more people in on it, right? And so, you know, that potentially is a kind of use case for something like that. We don't really know what that's going to be, but you know, that's something that can be built around a service and not just, you know, hard adapt, you know, try to put a circular peg into a square hole or whatever, right? You know,
I don't know if there's anything else that anybody wants to say. I feel like we've had a pretty good conversation about this. You know, is there any other big points or closing thoughts about this? Anyone wants to make sure and squeeze in?
Well, I would just like say if you want to like just go to Stadia, like Google Stadia, like Google it, and Google.
First of all,
go to Google and Google Stadia, and just look through their games and see if there's anything that you've ever wanted to like try out for free that has a little free trial, and try it out.
Can you though?
Yeah, I did. I did
for
it
the
yesterday.
Next 3 months, I guess.
Yeah, for the next couple of months. Yeah, I did it yesterday. I played. I was like Shantae, the original like Shantae remake. Yeah, Shantae Half Genie Hero. I played that. I played Control. I played Bloodstained Ritual of the Night just because it's a game I've beaten like 5 times, and I was like, all right, well, I'll be able to tell if there's any input lag on this, and there was nothing that I could tell. But I played something else. I played like 4 games, just like popped in and played them for like, you know, 20 minutes. And like, I got to actually try it out and see like, oh yeah, no, I like this. And, you know, I mean, at the very least, give it a go. You don't have anything to lose.
Yeah.
You can't accidentally buy anything. I tried to accidentally subscribe to, I tried to subscribe to Pro, just see if it would let me. And it just like circles. It keeps, because it pushes it when you go to the site. It's still saying you should try Pro. Here's all the reasons to try Pro. You click here to try Pro. You click here to try Pro, and it just refreshes the page. So.
Yeah, and then you can get a good sense of whether you could actually stream a game too.
Yeah, exactly. That'll also tell you that. So, and you'll also see how terrible the Pro offerings are, because it's like 5 games you've ever heard of, and then a bunch of like crap you've never heard of.
That
I just started a trial.
What you just talked about, Carrie, of like seeing the user sees the ability to subscribe to Pro, tells me that this decision was probably made pretty quickly, because even the user experience to not subscribe or it not being an option anymore isn't there at all, but it's delayed.
They probably laid off the person who was supposed to change that.
Yeah. I mean, that probably someone has to write it. They probably have to localize.
Make sure to kill this link on your way out.
I think what happened is Phil Harrison like woke up. It was like the middle of the day, and he's kind of like he's out on a walk, and he's like, oh fuck, Stadia is still a thing. I should have shut that down years ago.
I set a reminder on my Google Wave account.
All right.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. If you're out there listening and you completely disagree with us, or you have some other great point to share with us about cloud gaming, we would love to hear it.
And if you're a Stadia employee and you just lost your job and you want to talk about it on a podcast, hit us up.
Yeah.
I only got one more thing. GeForce Now?
Oh, we didn't talk about GeForce.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Came out in 2020. Available on smartphones and computers, and it exists.
Yeah. It exists.
I forgot that till I saw it in the Google Doc.
It's one of the best ones too. I mean, it's like it's the Google Play Music of streaming services for games. You know what I mean? Where it's like stuff that you own, you can then stream. Right?
Oh, okay.
That's kind of how it works. Right?
Don't you have to have a GeForce card in your computer?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
That's what. Well, I do.
They have some other tiers where you can spend $20 a month, where you get access to like a 3080 or something like that, an NVIDIA 3080.
I think what we're kind of finding here is that nobody really knows what to do with this tech. You know what I mean? It's like we've got all these different companies all trying different things out right now and seeing what sticks. And, time will tell what wins out. Like we said, I think Microsoft is doing the best thing. I think one of the best use cases for this thing is demos, right?
Yeah.
Some putting out before a game comes out, like during E3, have a thing where you can play all the E3 demos. You can't fucking data mine a cloud game. You know what I mean? You can't like pirate a game. You can't do it if it's through the cloud. I think it's like we're going to be finding ways to use this tech going forward. But Google, man, I mean, what a huge, just massive failure from day one. Just an insurmountable. Just it had a
They
cool
hired
logo and a
Reggie
cool
Watts
controller, and I got a Chromecast out of it.
Had the style down.
But just what a monumental failure.
For sure. All right. Good talk. All right. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about the games we've been playing recently. I don't think I've played any video games outside of Splatoon 3. Again, I've been saying
you're like a one-track mind gamer, aren't you, Patrick?
No, not normally. I can be.
I hear you
like
got some
to
hot
be.
tips.
No, I'm just really addicted to Salmon Run. That's all I'm doing. Finally got up to Professional +1. I feel like I'm in the zone playing Salmon Run, and it's such a flow state for me right now.
So you made it up to Professional +1 even after our epic losing streak the other day?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was rough.
Pretty quickly afterwards, actually.
So as soon as I stopped playing.
Got any hot, quick tips, Patrick?
No, but I do think I've hit that point, though, where I need people to play with that I know. Because I think at this point, like, even though I feel like they're playing consistently with pretty good players, there are times when, like, shit, we need to communicate. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like being on voice chat would be really helpful. And so sometimes we lose, and I'm like, that's nobody's fault. Like, because we weren't communicating, like, but I'm really addicted to Salmon Run right now.
Nice.
I don't know. I don't have any great tips. I mean,
it started with Piranha Plant playing Smash, but now in Splatoon, you're a sweaty gamer, Patrick.
I've always been kind of into competitive games.
Oh, yeah.
But like Nintendo competitive games, I guess.
time to get into Overwatch.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like I was telling my cousin who's really into like hardcore shooters and competitive games, he's like, why do you like this one but not all these other ones? I'm like, I don't know. I like to swim as a squid. Like, I don't know. I don't know why. It feels good.
Goddamn right.
It does feel good.
That's me.
We started our JRPG club. It's officially started on October 1st. We're recording on the 3rd. So we're playing Live Alive, and I downloaded it, but I haven't started.
Oh, hell yeah, I got to start that.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's it. That's all I did.
That's it.
All you've done is download a game.
Yeah.
Hey, that's good. Hey, October's going to be a big month. There's a lot of great games coming out on the Switch this month.
Oh man, there's so many games. I just I took a little bit of break and did some creative stuff. I did a lot of writing this past week.
Nice.
Very cool.
And watched Andor.
Yeah, great show, Andor. I'll go next. I've been playing a lot of the same stuff that I played last week. Playing some more Metroid Prime via Prime Hack. Donkey Kong Country Returns. I've been playing the shit out of that game. Great game. The Wii Donkey Kong Country Returns. I feel like it gets like forgotten in a post-tropical freeze world. But watching that retro expose on Did You Know Gaming made me want to go back and play some retro games. What else have I been playing? I did buy Radiant Silvergun on the Switch, mainly just because, I don't know, it just feels good to buy games sometimes. I don't know.
Gives you that dopamine hit.
I played it for about 5 minutes. I watched the opening cutscene. I was like, I'll come back to this later. And, I don't know. Sometimes it just gives me that dopamine hit. Other than Splatoon 3, which I have been playing a good amount of, and some more Super Worlds and Mario Maker 2, I've been playing Picross S8, man. I fucking love it. You know I love it. I'm a big Picross head. It never gets old for me, pretty much. I love going through just like a ton of fucking puzzles at once. Just inject them right into my eyeballs and into my bloodstream and into my belly because I want Picross inside of me. What are we talking about? That's what I've been playing this week. I don't.
Quickly.
I don't really know what we're talking about. Carrie, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm like David. I'm always playing like 10 different games. Right now, the big thing I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring again. I kind of took like a 4-month break from Elden Ring, and I, already had 300 hours in Elden Ring by March. So I'm back on it playing my. I got a Dragon Priest build that I'm kind of near end game with, and that's a hell of a lot of fun. Just jumping around like Darth Maul, just like with a double bladed thing, bleeding everybody, and then casting big dragon spells out of my head. So doing that, and then played a little bit of Dark Souls 1 just for fun, popped in that, and then the Souls community does these return to things. So their return to Boletaria, which is Demon Souls, starts tomorrow. So last night I went ahead and got on and like created a character for that. So I'm playing the Demon Souls remake again, playing that, and then I restarted Metal Gear Solid 3 because it's my favorite Metal Gear game, but I've never actually beaten it. So I'm going back and playing through that, and then I'm going to play through 4, which I've never played. I'm going to play through Peace Walker, which I've never played. So that's kind of on the docket. But I just
following suit, I see, Carrie.
Yeah. So I own every Metal Gear Solid game except for Acid. But I actually have only beaten 1 and 2. So I'm coming back to that. So I started 3 again recently. I'm just barely in it though. And then play a little bit of Splatoon, but barely because my son has really been on the Switch way too much. It's getting to that point where I'm like, do I need a second Switch? I don't need a second Switch, but having a second Switch.
You do.
I don't need
As
it.
Nintendo employees, we have to tell you have to get one.
But I popped on Splatoon 3 here and there, and when I've played, I've won my matches, so that's fun. But I haven't played much.
To win.
I've maybe played like maybe a dozen matches, so it's fun. I like it. It's fun. So doing that a little bit, and I'm playing Suikoden on my my modded Vita.
Wow. Okay.
Started that. And then
you're saying fuck the remaster. You're going original.
Yeah, I'm playing. I mean, I own the first 2 games, so I'm like, why not freaking play them? Probably will just. I started it before the remaster was announced, and so now I'm like, maybe I should just stop because I'm only like 2 hours in. So, and then I also last thing as I started Final Fantasy 2, the original Final Fantasy 2 for the Famicom on my phone, and it is it's not good. But so I don't think I'm gonna go very far in it. I'm like, look, I should play this just to do it. And like,
it's got a good story, I guess.
Oh, but do you have to get a big crystal?
Yeah, it's fine. It's Final Fantasy, but like the Final Fantasy 2 has this mechanic where you gain experience by taking damage.
Yeah.
And so logically, the best way to play the game is
to
hit yourself.
Yeah.
So basically, when I wanted to beat the game, the best way to grind in that game, because you have to grind. It's a Final Fantasy game. And the most efficient way to grind is to fight weak monsters and then just beat the shit out of your party as much to near death and then beat the monster and then just repeat. It's stupid.
It is dumb. Yeah.
I do the same thing to my family,
It's so incredibly complicated. I'm playing the GBA version, which fixed some of the silly stuff, but it still has a lot of that. So yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna go very far in that. But yeah, those are my dozen games that I'm playing right now.
I did it. I sat there beating the shit out of my own party in that game for a long time.
Yeah, I did that for about an hour, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna keep playing this.
Can't do that on Stadia.
There's also a fun thing I did in that game. I don't know. My Final Fantasy 2 experience was just to break that game. Is like at the very beginning, you can walk to a super dangerous place that's like super high level if you go the opposite way of the intended path. And so basically I would just do that. And if I got in a random encounter, quit. Right. And save scum to get there and then beat the shit out of yourself along the way. And then you're like OP and you can just cruise through the game. Because you can buy all this great gear and stuff in that town. Anyway. Final Fantasy 2
Thanks for listening to our Final Fantasy 2 tips and tricks episode.
Well, you can play games like me, which is go to the eShop, download a game, that's it.
You're done.
Hey, you get the dopamine hit, man. That's all you need.
That's all you want.
You spend your money. That's all Nintendo wants. That's all they need.
All right. That was fun. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Carrie, for coming on and talking to us.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks to MilkyWay.co for doing our website. Thanks to Corduroy for doing our music. If you're looking for me, Patrick, I am PDYX online.
I am Matthew, MATHYOU on Twitter.
I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet at Monolith Fiji. And what about you, Carrie? Where can people find you online?
Hey, Karuseta, Kerooseta on Twitch and on the Discord. Talk to me there. About it.
Very good. You love to see it. If you'd like to find our show on social media, we are at Switchheads on Twitter, at Super Switchheads on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We got ourselves a little website out there on the internet, www.switchheads.com or superswitchheads.com. We own them both. And then we got a Facebook group and a Discord that Carrie just talked about. Please join our Discord. Spralex, by the way, I don't know if you're listening right now. In the description of this video, there's going to be a link to that Discord. I know you were asking about it on Instagram. Come and join our community. We'd love to have you. It's a great place. Everybody's playing Splatoon right now. It's a fucking blast. And we're about to all play Live Alive. So we all do stuff as a group because we are one big cult owned and operated by Nintendo of America. That's going to do it for our episode, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. If I could do one last plug before we call it. Starting up the Metal Gear Solid streams again. You reminded me of that, Carrie. Starting up Ground Zeroes this upcoming Wednesday, the day this episode comes out. So make sure you check that out. I'm excited to get back into that series. I've been fucking around with random games for long enough. Time to finish the year of Hideo Kojima. You guys know the drill. Stay safe out there. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to one another. Do as the good book tells you to. Salute your shorts. And, we love you very much. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.